Okay, so the one is important things when you start working with the Vue, it is these sections on the right side, and they have it from the object browser, the world browser, and a camera control information. So let's do this way. We're going right click, we'll select sphere, so we'll create sphere right here. You notice when select on the center, so it's where created object. I'm going to bring a little bit down. Sometimes it's hard to control where it's located. For this, we'll use fast action. We can go to the edit, or the faster it will be right here. You'll notice we have options right to drop the object, and it's two different: smart drop or normal drop. We'll look in the future what is different. Right now I just left click and drop this object to the ground. So what I want to do it is look on this properties what we have it. First on top it's object browser, so we have it our parameters for our materials. You notice right here first we have it the edit select object if we have the option for this. And to do this, we need to have a little bit more complex object. So let's do this. I'm going File, Loaded Object from our library, and I'm going to select, let's see, Architectural. Let's select something from different libraries. Right here, example, Geekatplay Treehouse. So it's take a second till it's loaded. And a Vue object save in VOB format. So it's a Vue, its own format, which is have it all information for the environment driving materials and maybe some other complex stuff. So right here, it's take a second till it's loading. There we have it our building. Okay, you notice it's kind of does not display it because I have it also some lights right here is enabled. So let me remove those lights. Okay, and now we have our object. You notice we enable first the edit selected object. If object does not have it properties for this, like a sphere, it will be disabled. Okay, when we click on edit, we open and we can edit polygon mesh, and we look what is all these properties in object tutorials when we start how to bake and other things. You can also access that properties by right clicking and go right here, edit object. And of course all these options you can access several ways from this screen, from the world browser, from go to object, right click and select these options, or going from object and edit object as well as a shortcut on a keyboard if it's assigned any of these. So you can see it's have multiple ways you can access to all these properties, but most useful probably will be right here in a world browser, or in an object browser, sorry. Let's go to the sphere. We have it the browser, we have it next edit materials, and this will review in the material editor tutorials. Okay, next we also have it edit all materials if you have multiple materials assigned, for example like in a tree house right here. And when we have multiple materials, also you'll notice right in this window we display how many materials and which one we preview. So currently it's one of 103. So 103 materials it's using for these models. You can cycle through them by click on an arrow, or you can click down and select from the drop-down menu which you want to use. Next we have an edit material, and it will open loaded materials. If you want to replace that, will replace this default material. Again, you can do same options from the material editor, and this is if you click on edit material, then other options you can just double time click on this window which open the same edit material options. Okay, next we have it preview options, and if you right click you can see we have it currently smooth shaded. You can always change to different previews, but I do recommend keep it on smooth shaded for this one. Okay, next we have a scale. This is scale of the material that currently use it for this specific material. So let me go ahead and right now we can hide our trees, and you notice I click and it's have this X kind of. This is will symbolize this is hiding from render. However, I still see inside my scenery so I can reference and use it, but it won't be rendered or displayed. So I'm going to hide this away, and we'll just select our sphere. Okay, let's go do very simple things. I'm going to modify it, and I'm going to click and preload it basic default checker material. So right here you can see we preloaded, and okay, it's a refresh at our menu. This case, so let's go ahead and we'll decrease scale. You can see how it's decreasing scale as well. Let's render very fast, and I'm just setting so we can render to the screen. Okay, we'll go to render, and right here you can see we render one scale. Okay, let's go back, and you can always just type on a keyboard one. We render that again. Okay, and we can compare them. So you can see right here between these two materials. You see how the scale is changed? So we have one with number 1 and 107. So we can reduce the scale. And this is what does the scale. It's reduce very fast for materials. You have other options to reduce or change the scale when we go in material editor, but we'll look on those ones specifically when we start working with material editor. This way you can faster change the scale of the material without modifying all other properties as well. Next we have highlights for the specific object. So for example, you can see right here when I select its different objects. So if I create another sphere and I want to identify, so I can assign different coloring to this object. It does not affecting any textures. It just only change colors for the object. So I can easily identify object. I can take a group of the object, select, apply to them same color, and that will help me to identify the group of the object easiest. Okay, next we have options. That will help us control it, how this object will affect it or affect other options. One thing, nice things about Vue, you notice we enable our help with toolbar. So if you don't know, you just need to put it mouse over and a help pop up this bubble where it says it's load materials. If you don't know what is meaning, leave it that tip on checked in your options so you can go over. You can roll over and says, okay, this is hide from render. Otherwise, if I click right here to hide, or I can just same way just checking and hide here. Our next option, it is render areas with OpenGLs. Right here we have it ignore object when populating ecosystem, and we'll look on those options when we start working with ecosystems. This is ignoring indirect lighting, cast shadows, don't receive shadows, only shadows displaying, and enable collision for the lighting. So this is mostly for the rendering. You can also access these properties when you open right here for specific materials, or in this case you can fast access without opening material editor. So it's different options you can access. Sometimes it's kind of faster, and it's again depend on how you prefer. Some people maybe prefer to hide object by clicking on materials, or I'm like to hide inside the world browser, so it's personal preferences. Next up we have it numeric, and this way you can affect object scale, skewing, rotation, all its properties from your pad adjusting or just dragging your positions. So example, right here we have our sphere, and currently I can go inside and I can just clicking, and you can see I can move objects on specific axis if I want up down. I can rotate this object, I can scale this object specifically. Okay, right here, skew. Okay, and change the pivot point. Pivot point is kind of important when we want to assign to parent-child or currently it's on a middle. So wherever I do, like for example, if I go right here and I start rotating, it's rotating on from middle point. So if I want to change pivot point, okay, all right, here, let me enable, and I'm changing pivot point, for example, for this end. Okay, so this time when I want to go back and I want to rotate, notice it's rotating against my pivot point. This has become very useful when we start creating like a particle effect, like butterfly example, and you're creating wings, and you want wings flopping from the end, not from the middle. So we can create inside the view a primitive object and make those wings flopping by using kind of with pivot points. So this is a digital, we will access to this when we need to directly change size, resolution, skew, or maybe other options. And next we have motions. And this one we start working with animations. You'll notice we'll come back to this more and we'll look on some options, but let's very fast overview. Forbid motions, so don't make this object animated at all. If you have any animations assigned to your object and you click forbid animation, it will erase it. So uncheck this, won't return them. So be careful when you use this. Also, we can set the target, link it, this object to the parent. If animation is enabled, we can go to animation toolbox. And again, we'll look on this where we can specify behavior of animations. We can specify basic animation for this object based on the smooth look ahead, like missiles, maybe airplane, helicopter, and you can have a different type of the behaviors of accelerations, as well as specify main axis for this. Main axis is necessary if, for example, missiles, maybe you have it more like X, Y, or Z, so you can specify this way. The object can be tracked specifically, so just point it specific or link to the object. We also have a loose control right here. This is very interesting effect. If, for example, we have some object and maybe some plane and another plane chasing him, or helicopter or spaceship, with this can follow, as well as a camera effect loose. It's have this little bit delay, so it doesn't point all the time by the object or following him. You just have this little bit rubbish kind of like rubber sling effect a little bit after this. Again, it's overview, and we start using this more when we go inside the motion. Okay, we have it motion, numeric, and we have it material kind of object editing.